Okay, hello everybody. This is just a quick video on how to analyze one of the major passages about Reverend Hale. And right here on this sticky note is our question. Reverend Hale was brought in to determine if witchcraft is happening in Salem or not. How does Arthur Miller characterize Reverend Hale? Does Hale represent either rationality or religious hysteria in the play, or both? How? Why? You want to keep this question in the back of your mind as you read through Act 2 again to look for evidence of whether Reverend Hale is rational or just hysterical or crazy. Does he give up reason? Now, I'm going to show you one passage that you've read already. Excuse me about that. I'm going to read over a passage that you've read already, and I think it's a good quote that can really demonstrate Reverend Hale's hysteria in this case. Though I do think that Hale is also very rational, and you'll see that throughout Act 2 and Act 3. Okay, so what I have in front of me right here is a scanned copy of your book. So I am on page 1280. If you want to follow along, that's fine. I'd like to know the context of the quote. As you can see, I have a little arrow right here pointing to the quote that's in interest for our interest to answer our question here. I'm going to leave this to the side. And I want to read around this quote so I get some context. So I'm going to read from Proctor all the way down to Hale here. Okay? Giles, what's the matter? They take my wife. Francis Nurse enters. And his Rebecca. Rebecca's in jail? Francis. Aye, Cheever, come and take her in his wagon. We've only now come from the jail, and they'll not even let us in to see them. Elizabeth. They've surely gone wild now, Mr. Hale. So Elizabeth gets the sense that things are getting out of hand. Francis, going to Hale. Reverend Hale, can you not speak to the deputy governor? I'm sure he mistakes these people. Hale, pray calm yourself, Mr. Nurse. So you can see that Hale's trying to have a semblance of calm and rationality, right? But the truth is that innocent people are getting accused. And he is remaining calm during this time, but if he was really rational, if he was really aware of what was happening, then perhaps he too would be upset and also a little angered at what was happening. Let's continue. Hale says, pray calm yourself, Mr. Nurse. My wife is the very brick and mortar of the church. That means that she's like a cornerstone or a brilliant part of the church, Mr. Hale. And Martha Corey, there could not be a woman closer yet to God than Martha. Hale asks, how is Rebecca charged, Mr. Nurse? He doesn't even recognize or acknowledge Francis's opinion of his wife and someone else's wife. He just asks a straightforward question, which might demonstrate his rationality. Francis, with a mocking half-hearted laugh, for murder she's charged, mockingly quoting the warrant, for the marvelous and supernatural murder of Goody Putnam's babies. What am I to do, Mr. Hale? Mr. Hale turns from Francis, deeply troubled. Then, believe me, Mr. Nurse, if Rebecca Nurse be tainted, there's nothing left to stop the whole green world from burning. Let you rest upon the justice of the court. The court will send her home. I know it. Okay, so Hale isn't, he responds in a way that Francis does not like, right? Francis wants Hale to say, hey, Rebecca Nurse, the one who sends money to our orphans and widows, the one who helps out people and is very, very wise and, and calms people down, she's the one that's being accused of, killing other people's babies? You gotta be kidding me, right? Francis wants Hale to have a stronger reaction, but what does Hale give him instead? Even though he's deeply troubled, he says, let you rest upon the court, meaning, hey, wait for the court, see what they say. I'm sure they'll send her home. And Francis is upset. He says, you cannot mean she will be tried in court. Francis can't believe it. His innocent, pure, wise, nice, and very good wife is now being tried in court for witchcraft, for killing Goody Putnam's babies right here, which is just a joke, right? But Francis is level-headed, and he says, let the courts try it out. I'm sure they'll send her home. Now, Let's look at the passage in question here. It says here, "Nurse, though our hearts break, we cannot flinch. These are new times, sir. There is a misty plot afoot, so subtle we should be criminal to cling to old respects and ancient friendships. I have seen too many frightful proofs in court. The devil is alive in Salem, and we dare not quail or cringe from to follow wherever the accusing finger points." Hale says something really interesting here. He says our hearts might break. The people that we love might get accused, but we can't flinch. In other words, we can't be scared to accuse these people. And how does he justify that? He says, these are new times. There's a misty plot around us. It is so subtle. Subtle meaning it's so hard to discern or so hard to see that we should be criminal to cling to old respects and ancient friendships. What is he saying here? Hale is saying that, the devil's around and we need to open everything. Even our ancient friendships and our respectable people in the past, it would be wrong of us or criminal of us to cling to those ancient friendships, to those old friendships and old respects, because these are new times. These are times where where the devil's about. There's witchcraft everywhere, and we cannot turn a blind eye to anyone. Everyone, in other words, is suspect. What does this show about Hale? It might show that he's rational in his regard, but to the people like Francis, to people like Proctor, who you see is getting angry here, to people like Elizabeth, Hale is just as hysterical as everyone. I hope you can see and appreciate that Hale, even though on the outside he seems rational, on the outside has a very calming presence and he sticks with the facts, he is fundamentally different from the people like Francis, the people like Proctor and Elizabeth Proctor. He believes that the devil's around. He believes the witches are around. And because he believes that, he's willing to throw away old respects and ancient friendships or old friendships. Okay, now I think that's a good quote to answer this, right? Does Hale represent either rationality or religious hysteria in the play? This quote obviously shows that he represents religious hysteria, that even our closest friends, even our family members, we should suspect them, right? Okay, well, I hope this little video showed you a quote and a piece of evidence that I could use to answer this question here. I hope that you have a deeper appreciation and analysis of the kind of man that Hale is. And given this, hope you can find other passages that show the character of Hale and whether or not he represents rationality or religious hysteria, or both. Okay, just to let you know, you may not use this passage that I found right here. You'll have to find some other ones. Yeah, some that are pretty close by, I'd say. You want to look through his questioning methods with Proctor and Elizabeth and see, how he kind of enforces his religious outlook on people. And you'll want to see how he responds to Elizabeth Proctor's arrest. I'd say that those passages are ripe for the picking. That's all I've got, and thank you for watching, and good luck.